I don't want it to seem that I have a dual personality, a Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde sort of thing going on. But my bubble was just burst, my crescendo fell, and I was on the verge of getting very loud. And Jamaicans we have the distinction of becoming loud when we are expressive. And I've always prided myself as somebody who can, within a certain amount of measure, control my excitement. And I'm really choosing my words carefully because I really don't want to get guttural. I don't want to get into the lowness that I hear happening around me. I float above that. But there are times when things happen that, for want of a better word, the true you has a way of coming out. And my reference continues on the jubilation that I had just earlier, talking about the 1,044 Jamaicans scheduled to arrive in the island on Sunday, March 17th. So it's Sunday, March 17th. And of course, I am so excited, or at least I was. I woke up, I was excited. I was a little bit cranky. And this is not a personal thing now. I felt a little bit odd because I heard the opposing party or opposition making its rounds on this matter. As a matter of fact, it was their publication that brought it to my attention. And somehow I said, well, the opposition has to oppose, they're not opposing persons coming into the island. They are concerned about the ability to organize their arrival and take care of them. And of course, my response was, of course, if you see a situation that needs mentioning, then that is the role of the opposition. And I was good with it. I was happy and moving right along until this morning. And I think I had a sneaky feeling something was not sitting right because I was just hearing this thing from the opposition and not from the government. And I'm like, not good, not good, not good. I should be hearing both sides of the story, for want of a better term. Anyway, getting to the meat of the matter is where I want to be. Now, in the typical Jamaican vernacular, that word. I wonder what it. Anyways, we won't go there. This morning's Gleaner basically told me that I had reason to be uneasy. And the headline reads 1,044 ship workers coming, but government totally unprepared. And I had such a sinking feeling. I was like, seriously? Anyway, the caption says, Tufton, this is our Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton. It says, in terms of quarantining and assessment, we would have to spend some time to plan the logistics of that. But right now, it would be very difficult. This is the part that I was about to lose it. I was about to lose it because I am beginning to think that in Jamaica, I might be one of the most informed individual in the world of shipping. Not shipping in terms of the logistics that the port authority and the maritime people have, but in the world of cruising and how this whole event has impacted cruising in general. You all know by now that I'm a certified cruise specialist. You also know by now that I am a part of the third largest network of travel sellers in North America. And I would imagine that you also know that I'm on my way to gaining the distinction of ACC accredited cruise counselor. I put that out there simply to make those listeners be aware that I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I live, I breathe, I am the cruise lady. And so this is my industry. This is where I operate. This is where I find my most flexible moments. Because you see, I have spent upwards of 10 years preparing to be exactly that, the cruise lady in Jamaica, in the Caribbean. And I have absolutely no reason to hide the fact that I know this industry the way perhaps not many others do. One of the things that has gotten me very, very concerned as a result is the fact that I have been following everything in the cruise industry. I've been having kittens literally because my industry has gone belly up. I've been out of a way to generate my typical income and earning. And so, from that standpoint, it's concerning. But as the weeks turned into months, and it feels as though it's been many, many months, I have been sucking up everything from the headquarters level of all 60 brands that are represented under the clear banner, Cruise Line International Association, of which I'm a member, along with the news related to the welfare of the crew. And crew welfare is important to me for several reasons, many reasons. But can I start at the beginning? At 19 years old, I applied and was accepted to work on a cruise ship. And by me not being as adventurous as I thought I was, I allowed myself to be talked out of it. So, if you should really pay attention to the fact that I am still in the world of cruising, close to 30 years on, you know I have a love affair with cruises. Now, I have also been around, especially hotel workers, as I was one of them in my earlier career, who have moved on to cruising. And many of them have excelled. Many of them are officers. These are people I worked with. And the sweetest thing, and I kid you not, I've had some of the most enchanted experiences when I am on a cruise ship and I not only see a Jamaican, that's amazing just by itself. But when I see an officer class Jamaican, I get goose pimples. And I know many officer class crew members. I remember we were on the inaugural out of New York, Manhattan, to be exact, of the Norwegian getaway. And there I was introduced to someone from Morocco, somebody who was now a chef, um, officer class. So his role, as he explained it, was to move from ship to ship where they were doing openings, inaugurals, So he was an opener. And I was so blown away. His name was Michael. His last name slips me just now. But he has been with Royal Caribbean. Sorry, he has been with Norwegian Cruise Lines. And he has stamped his role as someone who is just so good that they can give him this responsibility to get the galley set up, to organize the staff, to train and to prep and to get them to the Norwegian standard where food preparation and food service is concerned. Ecstatic. Then, of course, everybody has seen the video on Harmony of the Seas, where after doing a ship inspection, and that was in where were we? Fort Lauderdale, and sitting down to lunch aboard the Harmony of the Seas, who do I see? Officer class again. Another person from Jamaica. We worked together. She was a supervisor at Siboney, and so was I. Officer class in the dining room. I was just blown away. So I say all of that because I like to paint a picture. And I'm painting that picture for you to understand the emotion. And I could talk about so many other people. My goodness, I could talk about Chef Cole, who is just a master at pastry from Arcabessa. I mean, I could talk about Chef Bailey. Oh my goodness, another officer class with Disney Cruise Lines. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. These are our people. These are people who I know, people who So I have set that picture. I'm sure you're seeing exactly what I'm saying. Now, what's important is the next thing that I'm about to say. Up to now, and we're at May 17th, and this crisis really started to unravel maybe about the 13th of March. So if you look at all of that, so March into April, that's 1 month, April into May, that's 2 solid months, 60 odd days, where passengers were being returned to the port of embarkation, where the announcement was being made by the various cruise officials that there would be a cessation of sailing. And of course, as any seafaring person, you get your passengers safely off and home, and then you take care of the mates on board. And so the crew, having secured all of their passengers, having gotten everybody safely home in one way, one form, one manner, there were over 100,000 crew members on over 395 ships at sea. Now, I'm not going to go through everything that we have talked about already about the CDC and the not being able to fly people on commercial flights. They had to now be charter flights. We're not going to even go through the fact that as we speak, there are persons on Royal Caribbean ships who are going through hunger strike because they are now fed up. And the report also came that with Mr. Bailey, the CEO, making a comment that it would be absolutely too expensive to fly the crew home on chartered flights. There are some who went on hunger strike because 60 odd days in, with uncertainty as to your life, your future, and being at sea, not being allowed to dock, with depression setting in, the crew members are at their wits' end. Now, with all of that, the Gleaner this morning reports that Jamaicans are aboard Royal Caribbean's cruise line's Adventure of the Seas, which departed the Dominican Republic on Saturday after departing its nationals in La Romana. The article continues to say that on Saturday night, Minister Tufton described the impending return of the Jamaicans as a surprise, saying he only became aware of this moments later. Now, this is going to cause, and has already begun to cause, major disruption. I am not a political person. Let us say I like to remain politically correct, but that does not mean that my opinions are not very strong. I believe in supporting those who have been set in power. I believe in speaking well as much as possible. But I have, and I even believe that When you are in the middle of a crisis, you can miss something. I want to give Minister Tufton the benefit of the doubt, because him saying that he did not become aware of this impending delivery of this special package of Jamaicans coming home. Yeah, yeah, but I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a struggle, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay. He says, I knew nothing of it except tonight I'm learning. We will have to seek further information. He couldn't say whether or not other government ministers were aware. Okay, so fair. He can't talk for anybody else. He is busy with the Ministry of Health, which is kind of okay too. Ish. Yeah, okay. The information continues to say that on May 2, Foreign Affairs Minister, and I can never pronounce her name properly, Kamina, that's what it looks like, Kamina Johnson Smith, tweeted a copy of a letter from Royal Caribbean confirming that it was in discussion with the government to repatriate Jamaican cruise members home via the ship. The correspondence also said that the crew members would be quarantined on board, which is reasonable. Last night, one of Jamaica's crew members told the Gleaner that in preparation for repatriation, some of the Jamaicans on board the Adventure of the Seas have been quarantined for a month. I don't even want to start talking about being quarantined for a month. You need to see the cabins. I would want to imagine, but this is just me imagining, that for the benefit of air circulation, some of them would be given balconies and taken out of the cramped crew quarters that a lot of them are expected to share, but I can't speculate. And everything has just gotten very, very messy now. So, as much as I want to think the best of everybody, I have discovered that in this time, we are beginning to see the ugliest side of the human situation. So, further in this particular report, the statement is others who were transferred to that vessel from another have been in quarantine for almost a month. So, just so that you understand, there has been a rendezvous where the crew members have been transported via the vessel that they work on to a spot. For Royal Caribbean, their private island in the Bahamas would be Coco Cay. And based on the news I was following, the setup was that the ships would pull in there and the crew members would be tendered, meaning you'd go in one of the lifeboats with all your stuff and you would be moved from one boat to another in keeping with the regulation that prevents these vessels from actually docking. So I don't like tendering. Not sure many people like tendering. So the fact that some ships have tendered crew members from one ship to another ship to another ship, and already your state of mind is fragile, it begins to wear on you. The uncertainty, knowing that you might be taken from one part of the world to another place to meet another ship that will start the rendezvous trying to get you home because you cannot fly. This is painful. And I'm really hoping you're seeing the picture that I'm trying to paint. So now, it was announced by the captain that they would arrive in Falmouth, Jamaica on May 18th. But they would be held on the vessel, which is great, you know. And this is what I don't understand with what Minister Tufton said. Because if the captain's arrangement is in keeping with the conversation communicated by Royal Caribbean to the minister of foreign trade, stating that they, Royal Caribbean, they're gonna foot the bill to quarantine these people until the 23rd of May, giving them 15 days of quarantine before they are transferred to us, before the major handing over ceremony happens. I don't understand the confusion. I'm at the stage right now where I'm wondering if the government needs somebody like me to assist them in logistics, because this is what we do. We logisticize. There's no such word. I just made that up. But I'm really beginning to get passionate as I'm reading this. I've been watching and listening, and they make things seem very hard. And believe you me, this is not an intention to bash the government, but I have worked in the logistics of moving people, managing people, making these transactions as seamless as possible, that you literally feel like you're floating on air. Now, the persons in government, they are technocrats. They sit, they assess, they debate, they give instructions, and I would want to assume somebody carries them out. On the other hand, people like us, we do all that they do in our industry, and then we carry out. So, you know, it just seems very, very, I'm trying to find good words. I really want to find good words. Ridiculous. I'm sorry. I can't find good words. To want to understand how difficult this could be. And believe you me, you have heard in my other videos me laying out the process that I'm assuming, which indeed they did follow, that would allow persons to re-enter and not bring some destabilization to the country and the efforts of flattening the curve. But here I am saying to myself, good God Almighty, and I am not swearing, believe you me, how hard can this be? Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Tufton, Minister Smith, y'all need to call me, because believe you me, this is not as hard as you are making it to seem. I really didn't want to get here, but I must, because this is not as hard as you all are seeing it out to be. It's just not. One of the big problems that persons like me who have worked in the tourism industry all my life, one of the problems that we've had consistently is when we watch the rest of the world who work, particularly in government. When we watch how difficult they make things appear, you go to a government office to get the simplest thing done, and it's like giving birth to triplets. And it's just amazing. It blows my mind every single time you listen to how these persons react and speak to their clients, us, yeah. The body language, the rolling of the eyes, the facial feature, even the words. And I'm saying to myself, if these guys worked in our industry, they wouldn't even have a face. I mean, it would have been knocked off so fast. And I'm not speaking about violence. I'm just saying that there is no room for this sort of lethargic words are failing me in this presentation. I'm about to switch languages, because here I am, I'm beginning to get passionate, and the English language is really becoming inadequate. And I'm feeling my Latin side about to kick in, because I'm getting really fiery. And I really don't want to get there, but I am just like reading this article, and I wish I did not, because it's just too much for me. Ay, Dios mío, okay. I just wish I could switch to Spanish, guys, because if I really could, then I could really express exactamente cómo yo me siento ahora, pero cómo yo me siento en esa situación que para mí es ridículo. Es un ridículo, es algo tan ridículo que, Dios mío, jamás en mi vida he visto algo tan tonto. Y discúlpame que soy jamaicana, pero no estoy de acuerdo con esta tontería que nuestro gobierno está presentando al frente del mundo. No tiene causa, no tiene causa, no tiene ocasión, es increíble. Porque esa gente son nuestras, son jamaicanos, ¿qué dicen? All right, enough of that. That's Rabia. I think this is where I'm going to end it today.